you guys? The Curious Owl here, and sorry for the fan noises in the background if you guys can hear that. Unfortunately for us Michiganders, it's really tough this week because we've had over 90-degree weather for the last 5 days or so, and it doesn't seem to be getting much better, but hopefully we are supposed to have a final break and have an end to this weird September pre-fall heat. It's been absolutely crazy. Like, I'm sweating in this dorm because there's no AC in any of the dorms, and this fan can only do so much, and it really just pushes the hot air around. But I'm sitting behind it, so I'm not even getting any breeze, and so I'm like dying here in this heat. So I'm gonna try to make this video as quick as possible so I can get back in some cool air. But anyway, so this week's Top 5 Wednesday is to talk about 5 books that basically you were introduced to through the booktubing community, or even if it's been through reading bookish blogs or being a part of a bookish community of any sort. Basically, you're talking about 5 books that, you know, people that you've never met have recommended to you and that you either didn't like or did like based on what you thought of it. So I kind of cheated with this because there's only 4 books out of all of the ones I've reviewed on this channel specifically that were basically ideas that to take from several people that I had watched do reviews on them, and I had wanted to read the books. And then one I don't technically have with me, and I'm not reading it currently, but it is on my TBR list. So it kind of works, but I'm kind of cheating because I haven't exactly read the last book yet. But anyway, let's get into these stories. So the first book that I remember having reviewed on my channel that I was suggested to by another booktuber was All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I believe I was recommended to read this by my friend Becca over at Bookworm Becca because she was the first booktuber I had found because we went to college together and she had told me that she does this stuff on YouTube. So she was like the first booktuber I really got into, and then she kind of led me to other booktubers like Emma Books and Jessie the Reader and A Clockwork Reader and all those other ones. Book number 2 is also kind of inspired by me hearing about it from Becca, but it's also something I had already known about and I just really hadn't had the chance to read yet, but it was like intensified once I saw Becca review it, and that is Identical by Ellen Hopkins. I didn't know about this book before I had met Becca and before I had knew about her channel because I had read Ellen Hopkins' work before, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to get going into it until she had talked about it on her channel. Next is a book that most people will know, and actually I think I was not only recommended to buy about this from Becca but also several other booktubers, and that is Everything by Nicola Yoon. I do remember Becca talking about this one too, but I really think I may have seen reviews from Emma Books or somebody just talking about it briefly. I don't remember exactly, but I know that I was at least recommended it through not just Becca and some other YouTubers, but through my friends as well. I had a lot of friends that had really enjoyed this book and they said that I would really enjoy it. The next book is actually the book that I just reviewed for you guys, and that is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This one was highly recommended by my friend Becca because she absolutely loved this book, and I remember in her review she had basically talked a lot about it, and I was like, that sounds like a really interesting story. I wonder if I would really like this character. And finally, the last book that is actually on my TBR shelf, I have it in my possession, not here but at my home, but I haven't exactly gotten into it, is The Flame and the Mist by Renee Audier. Now, I had actually heard about this one over the summer because I remember during BookTubeathon and I think the Biennial Bibliothon, one of those two, I want to say it might have been the Biennial Bibliothon, I don't remember, but they were reading that book as a group book, and at the end of this week they were basically going to do a live show where they talked about the book. And I remember watching Emma Books talk about it when she had finished reading it and listening to her review, and I was really surprised at how good it sounded. So I'm really curious to see how this one ends up turning out because it's supposed to be very high fantasy, which high fantasy, for those of you who don't know, is more along the lines of other worlds, things of like J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, if you think of it that way. But there you guys go. Those are the top 5 books that I have heard over the course of my experience with BookTube and the bookish community. If you guys have read any of these books and have your own thoughts about them, please go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Also, let me know what books you were recommended by in the bookish community that you have read and have enjoyed or maybe not enjoyed. I'd love to know. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. I'm gonna go sit in the fan for a little while, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!